Hey everyone, I hate being lied to. I really hate being lied to. I hate being lied to so stinking much, and yet every time I turn on the news, every time I hear any government agency from anywhere in the world tell me something, they're lying to me. It's just ridiculous. Every time there's a problem and it starts to get better, when you dig into the numbers, it's not actually getting better, they're just changing how they're counting. And it's infuriating. They don't even pretend to be not lying to you. They just lie to your face and just kind of look at you like, what are you going to do about it? We're going to get into that lies about the supply chain of what's going on right now, and it's getting better. No, it's not. It's not. It's actually getting worse. But, you know, they have to spin it somehow. So, we're getting that in this video. Welcome back to Poplar Preparedness. So glad to have you guys aboard. You guys have just jumped in, and I'm still trying to catch up. So you're going to start seeing things like graphics. We are trying to take things to a new level here. And by we, I mean me. So this is a one-man part-time gig when I'm not working. So I still work full-time as an accountant. So that's where I come from. This Sunday, we're going to have our first live stream. Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, we will do a live stream. And we will start promptly at 5 p.m. Eastern. All right, enough of that stuff. Let's get back to the government lying to us about it. Those ships that seem to be getting sorted off the coast of ports of LA and Long Beach, not so sorted. Yes, the blue line's going down, but the red line is not. And what is that, you say? Well, they decided to change how they're counting ships waiting off the ports. Yes. Everyone's saying that the ports getting caught up on ships. Not true, because they're just counting the ships in the old system. Not the ships waiting off the coast in the old and new system. Because if you count all the ships that are waiting off the coast of California, it has gone up over 100 now. Yes, it continues to go up, but they're not reporting that because why be honest about that? So let's take a look at this. Average days waiting from Anchorage to Los Angeles berth. All right, so they leave from port in China and they come to berth at LA, right? Does that look like it's going down? Ah, it doesn't look like it's going down, does it? It looks like it's continuing to go up. Lies, lies, more lies. The way the new system works is that once you leave the port in China, you now get put into the system, so therefore you're kind of like you're getting a date when you're going to get into the port. So instead of racing across the ocean and using up more fuel than you would if you go slower, they're now chugging across the ocean going slower because they know they can't get into a berth until XY date anyway, so they might as well go more fuel efficient across the ocean and save the planet and monies and all that kind of stuff like that. So is it actually taking less time for ships to go from China to unload in the United States? No, the answer is no. It's actually taking longer, and as you can see, part of that equation is that they're just going across the ocean slower. That gray line is 2021 versus orange, which was last year. So they're just going slower, still tying up as many ships. It's just a shell game. It's all optics. It's all spin. It has nothing to do with reality. The situation is getting worse, and they just can't help themselves from lying. So one of the major impacts of this is the fact that they are so hurt to get those ships turned around. What they're doing is they're just throwing empty shipping containers on those ships. So, like, if you're an exporter in the United States and you want to ship your stuff to somewhere in Asia, you can get a really nice rate usually by throwing your container onto a ship that's going out and once it gets to China, it can get unloaded and then sent to Tokyo or Seoul or Australia or something like that. But instead, they're just putting empties on because they just want to turn the ship around fast. They don't care about anything else. And so American exporters are being hit hard. American farmers, American manufacturers, they're not able to get their products on ships anymore. This is just showing the outbound empty containers continues to grow, that and the loaded exports continue to decline. We're just sending more and more empties out, and we're not actually putting American products on there. So it's not only that we're importing a bunch of Chinese junk, it's that we're not exporting any American junk anywhere, right? So when we look at stats like these for the freight rates for China to the United States, we're seeing these on a bunch of people and saying, look, the price is declining. This is good. This is great. But that's not great. That's just a seasonal drop. The shippers who were trying to get their stuff here in time for Christmas don't really need to get it here before January, you know, their President's Day sale. So they're not going to pay a premium just to get their stuff here in January or February or whenever. They were pushing to get it in by Christmas, but now that, you know, they didn't make it to Christmas, they're slowing down their premiums that they're paying on that, right? And you say, well, that looks like it's getting solved. And it's like, no, it's not. Because when you dig into the numbers, the price for a shipping container long term, okay, not like month to month, not week to week, but long term, has risen 16% this month, in November, right, last month. It rose 16%, the cost. So when you look at that previous graph there, this line just keeps going straight up. It keeps going straight up when we talk about long-term non-seasonality. That's just a seasonal blip, okay? It's just more lies. And it just doesn't stop. You know, every time that they lie again, it's like the government has to take another victory lap. And it's not just the United States. Let's take a look at China. Their solution to people tracking how many ships are waiting to get into port? Well, why don't we just order all the ships to turn off their transponders? Take a look at that. Oh, look at that. That's how many ships are reporting their location at any given time in Chinese waters. There's a whole lot less of them now because most of the ships have turned off their transponders. So you can't see how many ships are waiting at each port. That's wonderful because that's just so very transparent and very, yeah, freedom and information and yay. So it's not just the United States. It's everybody, okay? And this is what's happening. This is what's happening in food. The price of food is skyrocketing, as you know. Anyone who's been to a grocery store recently has seen this. Now, I want you to just take a look at that green line over there, and that goes back to 2011 is the last time we had that spike. And the previous spike was 2008. But why wouldn't you just throw all your money in the stock market? Because, I mean, that'd be a great idea. 2011, can you remember anything that happened in 2011? Anything in the Middle East and around the world? Remember the Arab Spring? Yes, food prices going through the roof tends to cause instability and revolutions around the world. And are we starting to see murmurings of that around the world? Yes, we are. And that doesn't look like it's going to be coming down anytime soon. Everything's pointing to food prices continuing to rise. When they get worse than 2011, can you imagine instability around the world getting worse than 2011? Wonderful things to look forward to. And of course, here in the United States, we now have the FTC looking into how to make the Walmart and Amazon supply chains more efficient. Anyone care to wager that that's going to make it more efficient? Because if you want to bet, I'll match your bet, okay? because the government getting involved in private companies' supply chains is not going to make it more efficient. It is, if anything, going to make it much, much worse. So I still don't know if this is just general incompetence by our government or whether it is nefarious. That's why I haven't reported on it yet, because I like to chalk things up to incompetence and ambition and just, you know, not seeing everything as one big grand conspiracy. But sometimes you have to wonder because, you know, are there limits to how incompetent people are? I don't know. So if you've ever believed the payroll numbers that come out, you're an idiot. But more payroll numbers came out, and today payroll numbers came out, and they were very, very bad. Very bad. Look at that. Look at how very few more people were hired. That just looks terrible. Of course, let's just look at this November seasonal adjustment this season, and oh gee, look, 2021, they made a really big seasonal adjustment this year. And so if you were to just, you know, take that seasonal adjustment down to like what it was last year, we would be back where all the analysts expected the number to be. Go figure. So basically somebody sat there and decided that they wanted the new hires of jobs to be down 300,000, and they just typed it in the computer and lowered the new hires by 300,000, and then that got reported, and the stock market went down because it's all fake. It's all just fake. That's just what we're seeing here. Let's go over to natural gas because that's fun. For those of you in Europe, it is very not fun, and so I am saying that sarcastically. Let's just imagine that you're out there trying to protect your business, or say you have a power company and you want to hedge against the price of natural gas. So what do? You go out in the futures market and you buy up future natural gas, right? And then this happens. See that blue line that's going like straight down? So that's the price of natural gas on the futures market in Europe. And you say, wow, that's back down to where it normally is when there's no problem whatsoever. In fact, it's actually down below where it was when there's no problem. And yes, that's true. Is there still a problem? Yeah, there's still a problem. Look at that. Makes you almost think that it's all just rigged. But it's important when the futures market is crashing, and take a look at actual European natural gas market prices right now. Look, that's not down. That's not down at all. That's up high, and it's rising. And yet the futures prices are crashing. So if you're a company and you're trying to hedge against high energy prices, and you're trying to use the futures market to do that, well, you're out of luck. Prices of natural gas are going up, and yet what you're supposed to be using to hedge to reduce the damage that's going to impact on your bottom line is not working. So it's just everything is just broken. Let's take a look at basically all. That's UK natural gas at the top, and European Union natural gas up there. And then you look at the U.S. natural gas prices down there. U.S. natural gas prices are not really up much at all. They're actually down a bit, but UK and European natural gas prices are through the roof. And it looks like they're going to be going much, much higher possibly. And yet futures markets aren't doing that. If you've had any experience in the silver market, you'd recognize this as just people manipulating the futures market, just because that's what they do. And that's what's going on. Lies, lies, lies. Just in some other news here, I'm going to pop up something here. This is an intelligence briefing that I basically get. They email these out every day. It is a service that maybe some of you might be interested in as well. It's how I kind of keep abreast of what's going on in the world every day. It's on-scene alerts, on-scene, and it's a subscription service. There's going to be a link down below to it. You get a first month free if you want to check it out, and then it's like $6 or $7 a month. So, but it reports on flooding damages and what's going on in the world, and also if there's ever a disaster in your area or even in the country, they start sending you updates that are being verified by government agencies. But Vietnam, massive flooding in Vietnam. That's where a lot of the world's rice comes from. And then you also see that there's flooding in Spain. A lot of agricultural products come out of Spain as well. Lots of flooding there. There's more flooding that's been happening in North Washington State. Haven't really been hearing about that in mainstream news sources. So looking at some of these reports that aggregate is very useful to me. More flooding. There's been in Australia. A lot of the crops have been getting hit hard there too in the last couple weeks. So just if you thought that agriculture was bouncing back, if you thought that the new crops coming out were going to be a lot better this year, it's not looking that way so far. So keep your eyes on that. Looks like food prices are going to continue going up. And God bless you guys. Have a great day. Steve Poplar, out.